All right, picture this. You walk into the class, the professor starts talking, and after 5 seconds, you're already zoning out. And next thing you know, the professor is talking about why squirrels are the perfect example of economic theory. And you're sitting there thinking, did I miss something? Well, if that's happened to you before, welcome to TOEFL Speaking Task 4, where every lecture is either about economy, biology, or even about squirrels climbing up trees and stuff we have no idea about. But don't worry, in this video, I'm going to show you a simple way to crush TOEFL Speaking Task 4, even if it feels like a plot twist when you're listening to the lecture. So if you already know me, welcome back. And if you don't know me, I'm Reggie Scales, and I've been helping thousands of students right here on YouTube and in the class setting and online, help them pass their TOEFL exam. And many of them are right here, right now in the USA. We now have students who have entered into Stanford, UCLA, Michigan State, and many more colleges. So if you want to be a part of the community, don't forget to go to reggieenglish.com where you can get free resources, or you can just have a personal class with me, and anything you need, we got it right there on the website. All right, so let's get back to the video. Okay guys, so here's how to pass TOEFL Task 4 speaking section without needing to have a PhD in squirrel psychology. All you have to do is use this template every time and you'll be fine. As you can see right here on the screen, all you need to do is first start with the main idea. Then after you catch the main idea, which is usually around the second and third sentence of the lecture, then you're going to say, and the professor gives 2 types, 2 ways, 2 something to describe this. Right here, I don't usually say, and he gives 2 examples, because those 2 types, 2 ways, or whatever, they already will have examples. So it's kind of confusing to say 2 examples here and then 2 examples later. So whatever it is, just say 2 types or 2 ways of whatever they're talking about. Okay, so first you're gonna start with type 1. Whatever type 1 is, you want to make sure that you give the definition of that. Then once they understand what type 1 is, then you can give an example that they're really easy gonna understand. Then after you talk about type 1 well and they understand what type 1 is, then you say, and also type 2 means whatever the definition of that is. Then you're just going to mention the example that the professor gives, and then you're done. Really that simple. That's how you do it every time. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, so it sounds pretty chill, right? Pretty simple. Well, this is when things start getting tricky. Well, sometimes right after mentioning type 1, the professor jumps right into an example about a weird story about a farmer in Nebraska who has a goat, and he taught that goat to be able to sell lemonade. Something crazy like that. Now, at this point, most students panic. But don't worry, don't panic. I got you. We're gonna figure out what to do right now. Even if the professor changes the order, you must follow the structure that you just learned just now. Main idea, the professor gives 2 types to explain this. Type 1, definition, example. Type 2, definition, example. No matter what you hear, that's why it's really important for you to already have this template on your paper so that you can make sure that whatever order you hear it, you write it in the order that you should speak it. Does that make sense? You're just telling a story and you're just showing that you really understand how to tell a story in a logical and clear way. So that's what they're checking. Can you really explain what the 2 types are? Can you give the definition? Can you give an example? And are you able, in simple, easy to understand English, to be able to say that with clarity and logic? Okay, so if that made sense to you, what we're going to do, we're going to listen to a TOEFL Task 4 speaking section right now, and then we're going to break it down and make sure that you really know what you're doing when you take your test. All right, so what we're going to do first, we're going to listen to it and break it down so that you really understand what you're doing. And then I'm going to give you a practice example so that you can do it yourself and see if you get the same answer. All right, let's get started. So the first thing that we want to make sure that we hear is the main idea. And if you remember, the main idea is the second or third sentence. So let's listen to it and see if you got the main idea. Let's check it out.
In this question, you will listen to a short lecture. You will then be asked to summarize important information from the lecture. After you hear the question, you will have 20 seconds to prepare your response and 60 seconds to speak. Listen to part of a lecture in a biology class.
Now, plants, like animals, and like us for that matter, need nutrients, substances that provide nourishment, to survive, thrive, and grow. We get our nutrients from the food we eat. Plants, though, most plants anyway, absorb their nutrients from the soil, right? Through their root systems? Okay. But there are plants that don't get their nutrients from the soil. The places they grow, the soil is bad, so they get their nutrients from insects instead, from trapping and digesting insects. They're called carnivorous plants.
Okay, so when you were listening to that, did you hear her start off with a little introduction talking about plants, right? But then she stopped, her intonation changed, and she said, but some plants don't get their nutrients from the soil. Some plants get their nutrients from insects. That's the main idea. She warmed you up a little bit, talking a little bit about plants, but then she talked about the ones that she's going to talk about for the rest of the lecture. Plants that get their nutrients from insects. All right, so we got the main idea. Now we want to figure out, okay, what are 2 ways that they do that, or how do they do that? Now the professor is going to mention 2 ways that the plants get nutrients from insects. Let's give it a look.
They're called carnivorous plants. Carnivorous plants capture insects in different ways. They have different trapping mechanisms, active traps and passive traps. A plant with an active trap.
All right, let's pause there. Did you find out the 2 ways that carnivorous plants get their nutrients? That's from active traps and passive traps. So far in your template, you should have something like this. Carnivorous plants get their nutrients from insects, and the professor gives 2 ways that they do this. The first way that they get their nutrients is from active traps. Then you're going to tell the definition, then you're going to tell the example. And the second way that carnivorous plants get their nutrients is through passive traps. You're going to tell the definition, and then you're going to tell the example. It is that simple, as we just said. But let's see if in the lecture they tell us exactly the definition of active traps and then also the example, just like what we said. If they don't worry, we're going to say it in the way that we know how to do. All right, let's give it a listen. Let's figure out what active traps are.
A plant with an active trap. A good example is the Venus flytrap. The Venus flytrap actually moves to catch its prey, or parts of it do anyway. Its leaves. It has special leaves that are hinged in the middle. The 2 halves of the leaf open and close, sort of like a mouth, to catch insects. And on these leaves is a sweet nectar that attracts insects. Insects like this sweet stuff. And when they get lured in and land on the leaf, wham, the leaf springs shut. It's an active trap. And the insect springs it, so to speak. The leaf quickly closes and forms a little cage, trapping the insect between the leaves. The Venus flytrap is then able to digest the insect and get its nutrients. But other carnivorous plants.
All right, so I'm sure you noticed in this example of active traps, the lecturer, she just went out and gave an example at the beginning. You do not do that. What you're going to do, you're going to say that active traps are mechanisms that a plant has that they need to move to catch the prey. That's the point here. That active traps means that plants move to catch the prey. And then you talk about the details. For example, the Venus flytrap, and the Venus flytrap has special leaves, and those special leaves can move to catch the prey. They also have a sweet nectar to attract the insect. Once the insect comes, it closes tight and then it eats the insect. But first, you have to make sure to say what active traps are, and it's basically moving parts that it uses to catch the prey. That makes sense? All right, let's see the second one. If they ever skip the definition like they did with the first one, the second way will be straightforward, so you don't have to freak out about like, will both of the ways be like that? Don't worry, it'll only be difficult for one, and the second one is going to follow exactly what you already know. All right, so let's find out what passive traps are, and let's see the example that they use for that. 3, 2, 1, let's do it.
Carnivorous plants. Their methods are passive. They don't have any moving parts to trap things. They have passive traps, like the sundew plant. The sundew plant also produces a sweet nectar that attracts insects. Its leaves are full of little hairs that secrete the sweet substance. But what happens when insects land on the sundew's leaves to get at the sweet nectar? Well, unfortunately for the insects, the hairs on the leaves also produce a super sticky glue-like substance. So an insect gets stuck in them and can't fly away. It basically gets glued there, allowing the sundew to digest it and absorb nutrients.
Using the examples of the Venus flytrap and the sundew, describe two ways that carnivorous plants get their nutrients.
All right, so I'm sure the second one was a lot easier for you now that you know the template, right? So basically, passive traps are just parts that the plant uses that don't move, right? Here's another little tip, pro tip here that I just remembered. So in the first one, if you notice that it was active traps and it meant that it moved to catch the prey, right? If you notice the second one, passive traps don't move to catch the prey. So if you ever miss the definition of one, you can always guess it from the definition of the other. All right, pro tip there. All right, hopefully you got the details after that, right? Passive traps are parts that the plant uses that don't move to catch the prey. For example, the sundew plant. And then after you say that, you just mention all of the details that the plant uses to be able to catch the prey without moving. All right, so you got the idea of how to do that. Now what you're going to do, you're going to take your time, make sure that you do your answer as best as you can. You're going to give the main idea, and the professor gives two ways to explain this. Active traps, definition, example, and then passive traps, the definition, and then example. And you also want to make sure that you don't go to your second one until 25 seconds are left. If you do it just like that, if you follow the template that you see right there, you're going to do excellent. So take your time and practice yourself, and then listen to the sample answer.
Listen to part of a lecture in a biology class.
Now, plants, like animals, and like us for that matter, need nutrients, substances that provide nourishment, to survive, thrive, and grow. We get our nutrients from the food we eat. Plants, though, most plants anyway, absorb their nutrients from the soil, right? Through their root systems? Okay. But there are plants that don't get their nutrients from the soil. The places they grow, the soil is bad, so they get their nutrients from insects instead, from trapping and digesting insects. They're called carnivorous plants. Carnivorous plants capture insects in different ways. They have different trapping mechanisms, active traps and passive traps. A plant with an active trap, a good example is the Venus flytrap. The Venus flytrap actually moves to catch its prey, or parts of it do anyway. Its leaves, it has special leaves that are hinged in the middle. The two halves of the leaf open and close, sort of like a mouth, to catch insects. And on these leaves is a sweet nectar that attracts insects. Insects like this sweet stuff. And when they get lured in and land on the leaf, wham, the leaf springs shut. It's an active trap. And the insect springs it, so to speak. The leaf quickly closes and forms a little cage, trapping the insect between the leaves. The Venus flytrap is then able to digest the insect and get its nutrients. But other carnivorous plants, their methods are passive. They don't have any moving parts to trap things. They have passive traps, like the sundew plant. The sundew plant also produces a sweet nectar that attracts insects. Its leaves are full of little hairs that secrete the sweet substance. But what happens when insects land on the sundew's leaves to get at the sweet nectar? Well, unfortunately for the insects, the hairs on the leaves also produce a super sticky glue-like substance. So an insect gets stuck in them and can't fly away. It basically gets glued there, allowing the sundew to digest it and absorb nutrients.
Using the examples of the Venus flytrap and the sundew, describe 2 ways that carnivorous plants get their nutrients.
Please prepare your answer after the beep. Please begin speaking after the beep. Please begin speaking after the beep.
Carnivorous plants get their nutrients from trapping and digesting insects. And the first way they do this is by doing it through active traps. This basically means that they have moving parts to catch their prey. And the professor gives an example of a Venus flytrap to explain this. They open their leaves, and once an insect comes due to the sweet nectar that attracts them, the leaves just close shut by trapping this insect like a cage. And once the insect is inside this cage, it digests it, and then it also absorbs its nutrients. Now, the second type is the opposite. This type is called passive traps, which means that they have no moving parts to catch their prey. And the example the professor gives here is the sundew plant. Now, this plant also has a sweet nectar that attracts the insect, but the little hairs on the leaves also act as a glue. So when the insect comes, it gets stuck on this glue, and then it's absorbed and digested. All right, guys, I know you did a great job. So as you can see, when you're doing this TOEFL Task 4 speaking section, just think of yourself as a narrator for a nature documentary. No matter what the professor throws at you, it could be squirrels, it could be cats, it could be goats, you're gonna stay calm and you're gonna follow the flow of the template just like you learned today. That way, your answer doesn't sound like a plot twist, but it sounds like a person that has a plan. And I know you can do it. Okay guys, so if you liked the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.